My name's Andy Ray. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Motorola Solutions. The presentation I'm going to give today is about our cloud access and video platform, but first, just to explain who Motorola Solutions are. It's often easier to demonstrate who we aren't. We don't sell mobile phones anymore, but probably looking at some of the demographic in here, quite a few of you used a Motorola flip phone. So that part of the business was sold off to I think it was Google in 2012, since sold off to Lenovo, but that doesn't form part of our business. Our business is almost 100 years old. It was started in the 1920s by two brothers who were installing radios into cars in the 1920s, some of the first cars. I'm not going to say some of the demographics will remember those cars, but that was the start of the business, 1920s. So when the mobile phone business was sold off, it allowed Motorola Solutions to actually diversify and focus on electronic security. So over the last 10 years, they've been building this security ecosystem. So Motorola Solutions retained the body-worn mobile radios, that side of the business, but they've then grown that platform out to acquire a number of video brands in Avigilon and Pelco, and more recently, two brands called Ava and OpenPath. Both those platforms, Ava Cloud Video, OpenPath Cloud Platform, have now Cloud Access Platform, have now been rebranded as Avigilon Alta. So that's just an explanation where it comes from. Okay, so why cloud? Why cloud video and access control? Far more cost effective than on-premise solutions that are appliance or server based. Imagine hosting a server room running air conditioning and energy 24/7. Engineers going to service and maintain them. We're now hosting the cloud. So in simple terms, cloud camera plugged into the network, ready to go. Access control, controllers plugged into the network, cable to the readers. There's no need for appliances, no need for servers, so it's fully scalable. Also easy to deploy and manage. Once you've deployed that camera, you're up and running with a browser-based solution, so you can access from any time, any place, 24/7. Okay, so we say often cloud is the same, but not all clouds are equal. So we can also deliver our firmware upgrades over the air to our hardware. So what that means in real terms is for the engineers of Andwis, they no longer need to send their engineers to site to perform hardware upgrades on controllers and readers. What that means to them is they can focus their engineers on other aspects and other people that they need to go and see. And if Andwis are like any other organisation at the moment, there's a skills gap, there's a labour shortage, the cost of technicians is increasing all the time. So the ability, I think it's like the presentation we had before, that ability to reduce the time to send engineers to site, or reduce the time engineers need to be on site, far more cost effective and far more sustainable. So we can deliver both hardware and software upgrades over the air. So you as the client will always be on the latest version of software and always on the latest version of hardware. Okay, so with the Avigilon Alta platform, it's intuitive, very easy to use. It's smart, it's rich in analytics and AI and machine learning, and it can be accessed from anywhere. So we have feedback we get from our clients is that the hardware looks great and it's effective in what it does. Okay, so we have our own cloud cameras which can deliver rich analytics to the end users, but we can also provide what's called a cloud connector. So we had someone talk to us earlier on and they were kind of nervous about the camera system they have in place at the moment. It was from a Chinese brand. I won't mention Dower because it wasn't them, it was actually HIC. But there was a nervousness around those cameras. And they said, well, we're going to rip all those cameras out. And we said, look, don't do anything like that, it's a bit too hasty. What we can do is take those HIC cameras and bring them into our cloud connector. What we can do then is we can overlay our analytics, so we can do things like heat maps, people counting, line crossing, vehicle counting, loitering, abnormal behaviour, and keep those same cameras. But it reduces the ability for any kind of security risk because we're now bringing them into our cloud. So when our system was first launched, the access control, which is a brand called OpenPath, it was all about being ease of use of getting into a building. So the functionality is very much like modern car key technology. So you've got your car keys in your pocket, you walk up to the reader recognises your car keys are within range, but it's your mobile phone. Wave to unlock, open the door. So when the system was first launched, you had your phone in your pocket, you walked up to the reader and you touched it. The COVID pandemic came along and people were a bit averse to touching things. So what the developers did, they increased the read strength of the capacitive touch sensor inside the reader to a point where you didn't even have to touch it. You walked with your phone in your pocket up to the reader, waved at the reader, walked through the door. So Wave to Unlock was born. But that was done without sending a single engineer to site to do a firmware upgrade on the controller and reader. It was all done over the air. So instantly that upgrade was done, and the next time people came into their deployments, which were tens of thousands globally, Wave to Unlock was there. And with our video platform as well, we also have the ability to access at any point in time through our app-based browser. With our access control, we can also use more traditional methods. So we can use cards, we can use fobs. We've also got Apple Wallet available at the moment, so it's quite a requested function. There is an associated cost to Apple Wallet, by the way, if anyone's ever got a quote for it before. You'd be looking at around £10 per person per year for Apple Wallet, or upwards of that. Our app is actually probably about a tenth of the cost. And the user experience we get from our customers is actually, it's better than Apple Wallet too. But you can mix and match, it depends what your staff would prefer to use. Okay, so we've got cameras that meet all requirements, every instance. We've got readers that can be used in commercial real estate, office buildings. We're also used by Unilever globally, so both in commercial real estate and also manufacturing environment. They're IP65 rated. We can use a mixture of cards, fobs, mobile technology, and you can manage your system centrally from either a browser or any particular app. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so we can also apply emergency functionality as well, so it's very, very simple to deploy mustering, which is kind of important for health and safety purposes. And you've also got the ability to use a whole range of analytics, so we can use heat maps, people counting, line crossing, loitering, and then we can use that information and pull that into the access control. So if there's been an instance, you could then open up your app and do a lockdown or inverse lockdown. And we also have functionality that will do wide notifications to multiple people within the building. We also have a product which we have on the desk over there, which is called a Halo device, which is a multi-sensor. The multi-sensor has, I think it's almost 20 different sensors. So it's got carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, noxious chemicals. It's used quite often in schools for kids vaping, but it's also backnet compatible. So you could build that Halo detector into building management systems. So if carbon monoxide levels or carbon dioxide levels were quite high, you could switch on the air conditioning, so that kind of thing. So this is what the Halo detector looks like. It's like a large fire alarm, and as I say, you can pull in a whole range of different pieces of information. So again, you could, if there was a chemical leak, it could trigger the mobile phone. You've got the ability to see what the issue is and then perform a lockdown or an inverse lockdown, get all the doors open. But these situations can be seen within seconds and actioned within seconds too, rather than reactively. So again, we have browser-based for access. We can overlay all these analytics, so we've got things like people counting below. And again, all these analytics can be pulled onto existing cameras if they're on Viv through that cloud connector. Okay. Yeah, so our cloud is fully secure. We're hosted in AWS in Frankfurt, so quite often people ask about what happens with the data. Is it fully encrypted? Yeah, it's fully encrypted end to end. It's what's called SOC 2 compliant. So that meets every InfoSec challenge we've had so far. And again, with all the other compliances, SOC 2, as I mentioned, ISO 27001. So we meet all the requirements that your end user or clients need. And we also have an open API, which we don't charge for. Quite often manufacturers will charge for integrations being written into their platforms. We give our API information freely, and we actively encourage collaboration with our systems. So as I say, Motorola's whole ethos is about being open and interoperable. So with our access platform, for example, we've got over 150 different integrations. We've got 15 different visitor management systems. We've got, I think there's 10 different video platforms, not just Motorola's own. So it's about asking those questions, what other systems do you have in your building? What can you then interact with the access control? So for example, Active Directory or Workday, you've got a HR system that can integrate with the access control. So you onboard 10 people, that immediately sends a notification through to their mobile phone to download the app. They've got their mobile credential instantly on their phone. More importantly, when you offboard people, you could take that mobile credential away in a matter of seconds, so that when people have left the business, they don't still have access. So just finally, the fact that Motorola Solutions have started to build this security ecosystem, all interoperable. We've got radio systems interacting with video, we've got video interacting with access control and sensors, making it a real compelling solution. And like the systems before, it's not about having closed and managed protocols. We can pull other competitor systems into our platforms, and we can work with other systems and services. And then finally, a couple of examples where we've deployed our systems where people are really happy. I think it's someone from WeWork here today. We also work with WeWork historically with our video platforms. So a whole range of different systems, different scenarios.